Hi everyone! Before we get started with today's SAP training video, I'd like to take just a few seconds to introduce you to PostNow.ai, an SAP data automation platform designed to make your everyday SAP work faster and easier. With PostNow, you can upload data directly from Excel into SAP for vendor masters, material masters, business partners, journal entries, and many other SAP processes without custom ABAP development. This significantly reduces the burden on your IT team by eliminating the need to build and maintain LSMW objects, custom upload programs, and one-off custom ABAP developments. It's also an ideal solution for S/4HANA migration projects, helping you migrate legacy data into SAP quickly, accurately, and with confidence. PostNow also includes powerful SAP reporting capabilities. You can easily join SAP tables, build reports without complex development, or simply describe the report you need in plain English using our AI query pilot. It automatically generates the required query and delivers the results in seconds with no coding required. If you'd like to see how PostNow can simplify your SAP processes, request your free trial today at postnow.ai. And before we begin, one more thing. As a thank you for supporting our channel, we're giving our YouTube viewers free access to more than 20 complete SAP training courses. If you'd like free access to all courses, simply comment "Access" below and check the video description for the next steps. Now, let's get started with today's SAP training video.
So in this presentation, we'll work out modularization techniques. Under modularization technique, subroutine concept. So right, we already discussed with some modularization technique. So in that first one, what we have done includes and macros. In this presentation, so we'll work out how to create a subroutines. What is the purpose of the subroutines? Passing parameters to the subroutines, calling subroutines, and passing parameters to the subroutine like internal tables. So all this stuff we are going to discuss. So after completing this chapter, so to understand modularization technique and passing parameters, I have already explained in a previous presentation. Modularization techniques, purpose, two kinds, and event subroutines. The next topic is subroutine. So we have already discussed this also, like improving the readability, maintainability of the ABAP programs, and redundancies, and then functionality, encapsulation of data. Right, straight away we'll work out subroutine is a block of code introduced by form and concluded by end form. There is a form and end form is a keyword. Subroutines mainly we used to call as a modularization technique, because any program must and should you have to do modularization fashion of your programs. Form and end form is called as a routine forms. So don't call like normal forms like scripts and SmartForms, Adobe Forms. This is a piece of code we are writing under this source code. As subroutines are program modules which can be called from the other ABAP programs or within a same ABAP programs. Right, the subroutines you can pass it through the plain subroutine and subroutine by using parameters also. So mainly the subroutines are declared like a declaration of subroutine, calling subroutines, passing data to subroutines. The internal subroutines, the source code of internal subroutines in a same ABAP program as a calling procedures like internal. The external subroutines, the source code of the external subroutines is in ABAP programs other than the calling procedures. Right, this internal subroutines mainly designed, overall subroutines mainly designed for internal purpose only within a program So you can use it, but a limitation, you can call the subroutines from other program also. So like this, for example, we'll go through SE38. Right, here the ABAP. Let's say subroutine. Fine. So click on create. So it is executable program. So click on save. Save it on a package. It's a subroutines. So click on continue. Right, subroutines. First one is you can create like this. Perform is a keyword to call the subroutines. So perform is a keyword like sub1, for example, is a subroutine name, could be anything. Place the cursor on here, double click on that. Then you can create. Does not exist. Yes, you can create. Right, subroutines you can create like include, or you can create like it within a main program. So generally we used to create in a main program. Click on continue. Like this is what a form and end form. So piece of code. Declaration of subroutine is form and form. Calling subroutine is by using perform. This is a plain subroutine we have created. Right, I can call outside program and I can create it in end program. I cast subroutines like program name, perform, first form, F1, F2 is the two performs, and here you can write it a form name, piece of code, and then form, end form like a piece of code. After end forms, you should not write any piece of code, and you have to write a piece of code in here only, because when the perform is reached here, this logic will be executed. End form will return after control will call to here. Again, the form will be executed. The end form will call the perform. Next lines will treated. These lines will be ignored. But in this case, form F1, F2, we have written hi, hello. This is what output will get it. So generally, like a subroutines, you can call from other program also by using like here calling the subroutines like table names, any table, Z table or normal tables. F1 is a field, initial value AAA declared, listener is vendor number, and a perform form name of class. This is the class, and F1, F2, F3 like write equalization listener, you can add it. This is a calling subroutine from this program, subroutine call from the ABAP program. So this is what external subroutines you can create it outside. You'll get it automatically. So as we discussed here, like a form name. So using LP1, LP2, for example, subroutines you can pass it through parameters. A parameter could be anything. So basically you can call like a using or like a changing. There are the two keywords you can call it. So we'll discuss what is using, what is changing. To call this, perform is a keyword, subroutine like a form using any parameters. You can call predefines also, or you can, once you have done, using clear statements and etc. Right, next subroutines by using or by passing the parameters. You can pass the parameters to subroutines. Before that, there is a two things you have to know. There is actual parameters and the formal parameters. So the formal parameters are nothing but it's a local inside the form and end form. The actual parameters are nothing but outside subroutine at the time of declaration calling. It's a global level. Right, passing actual parameters and formal parameters. I'll give you the definition for this. The formal parameters which are defined during the definition of this subroutine is known as formal parameters. The formal parameters are started with the form and end form. Within this, we have to create a formal parameters. The actual parameters we have to declare by using perform statement. So you have to call actual parameters. The parameters which are declared, which are calling during the definition of the subroutine, which is known as actual parameters. Formal parameters, blindly can remember started with F and F. It's a formal parameters. So if you know that two parameters, passing the data to the subroutines, there are three ways. So by using methods of passing parameters by reference, by value and return. By reference means address of the values. Value means so you can pass only copies of values. At this level you can transfer that, and value and return, when the control is back to the main program, then only the value will be changed. So first one is passing parameters by reference. Data F1 value A, perform Y1 using F1. Y1 is a form name started using F1 and F1. So reference means there is no value keyword, there is no parenthesis in this. So directly F1 equals to B, and form, we can go to output, I will get like this. The reference parameter initially F1 equals to A, and in a subroutine level equalized F1 equals to B. So you'll get output here. Formal parameters will be affected. Actual parameters will be affected when control is back to the main program. Next one is by value. There are like F1 value A, perform Y1 using F1. So like form and end form using F1. Like whenever you pass it a value is a keyword, F1, B equals to F1, write statement and execute. Passing parameters by value and request. Here data F1 A, perform Y1 Y2 changing F1, like a form changing value, like passing through value of anything, T equals to B like this, end form changing. Here we are changing first level B, then again changing like second level C, stop, or like if you want to check that, then we'll get the F1 equals to P, because the values we have changed. Right, T1 equals to P, of T1 is passed to the Y1, Y1 of F1 we have changed, F1 equals to F. This way we have to pass it by value on request. In the second case, a global parameters and a local parameters, like a table name. So data is a keyword, and a global data. Outside subroutine we are creating, that's what a global data. And calling subroutines, like inside there is a subroutines, pass it with the parameters, like a local data statement pass parameters. So this is called as a local data inside form and form subroutine level. Outside level is a global data. So generally, like protecting the data purpose, which we used to call as a global data. Local subroutines, if you change by using reference, so by avoid accidental loss of the sub data, so in such cases we have to keep data or memory in a local. So according to that we have to. And also you can pass the parameters in internal tables. For example, declared field string, data begin of internal field string name, or like passing through itab, anything like a table field names, perform sub1, tables tab using X. There is additional field tables tab name using X, like a form sub1 tables using X, or like any field name you can enter loop and unloop, we can print it, I'll get it. So mainly you can pass it through parameters, you can pass it through the data, whatever. So we'll work out one example how to pass the data with the subroutines and everything. Let me delete in this program. Right, for example, perform, let us say sub2. Before that, let me declare fields. So data a type I, so value for example 20. Subroutine name, let me go through using A. Means passing the data to subroutine by using parameters. These parameters are known as actual parameters. So double click on subroutine, click on yes. So create it within a program, yes. So by default you'll get a reference parameters, like you can write it b underscore a equals to, let us say 30. Right, after write statement you have to write it write a. You can write it any piece of code here. Like this example is related with pass by reference, like activate, click on run this. Now you got that 30 is a value. So because whatever changes made to the call by reference, the formal parameters they don't have any memory space. Right here, this values, right, the formal parameters. Right, changes made to the formal parameters will be reflected back to the global parameters, because formal parameters, they don't have any memory space here to keep it changes. It will reflect as it is, because in this case the address of the actual parameters will be transferred to the formal parameters and reflected to the global level. So this is what example of formal actual by reference. So by default you got it using parameters, that is p underscore e. So this example is reference. The next example will work out call by value. Right, next is by value. So a type I value 20 subroutine 2. So let me delete this. It will create another subroutine. So by using parameter A, you can click on yes. So here by default you'll get a reference. You can write it, there is a value keyword. So parameters you have to pass it within parentheses. Right, in this case you can pass it p underscore a equals to, for example, 30. Right, the same example, don't give any spaces here for value, and I click on save. Right, in this case you'll get the value is 20 only output, because I'll explain that explanation. Formal parameters, in this case the formal parameters are created as copies of actual parameters, but the formal parameters will not be reflected back to the actual parameters when the control is back to the main program. So in that case the values are 20 only. Right. So next one is by using changing parameters. Let me explain by value and return. Whenever you have done by value and return, so you have to go through with the changing. So changing is the keyword. Double click on this. Let me change the subroutine name. Double click on this. So click on yes. Select it here. Yes. Now here done. Changing. subroutine, there is a value keyword. You can make it like this. It is called by value and return. So in this case, you can pass it p underscore a equals to, for example, 30. So this value will be changed when the control is back to the main program. Click on yes. I haven't written any write statement here. Write A so that you can print it and you can check the value. So activate. Click on this. Now I got that 30 only. So because what is the difference between a reference and value and reference? So you can divert a particular flow of the program whenever requirement is done inside, or later you can control should be moved to the another program. In that case we have to use call by value and reference. So when the control is back to the main program, then only the actual values will be reflected. So this is what are subroutines with passing the parameters and all. So done with passing parameters, reference, value and return. Right, what we have done, so we'll conclude. We have done with the value using is like a reference, and then here, so done with the pass by value and the returns, and here declared global and local, passing the parameters and all.